Hey, welcome in everybody to another live episode of Level Up Law. We're here at South Carolina Legal Services on every Tuesday at noon. We are leveling up your legal knowledge about an area of law that we practice in. And one of the other things that we do is bring in our partners to highlight what they're doing. And today is no exception to that. I'm Senior Staff Attorney Susan Ingalls. I'm here with our producer, Kenneth Elliott, who's in the background, not on video with us. We'll bring him out one of these days. And you are viewing live Roger Acton. Roger's the Program Director for Faith-Based Victim Services at South Carolina Victim Assistance Network, or what we fondly call SC-VAN. And fresh off of the Victim Rights Week or 2 week for you guys conference over the last 2 weeks. There was 1 week was virtual, 1 week was in person. I was lucky enough to join in with Roger on a panel, and we talked about a collaboration that we're involved in. And so what better way to continue that collaboration and the messaging about it and about what Roger does at SC-VAN than to bring him on to Level Up Law today. So Roger, thanks for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Susie. And yeah, we're the epitome of collaboration, plus an amazing friendship that I'm very blessed by.
Yeah. So before we get started with our overall presentation, I do want to remember to tell our audience that nothing that we say will be legal advice. We have to say that since we are a law firm. Just general information for the public, but it's going to be great information that I think everybody can use as they go about their jobs collaborating with other organizations. But I do want to remind everybody that if you do need the help of a lawyer about a particular legal topic, you can always apply for our free legal services if you are eligible under our eligibility guidelines. All the information about how to do that is going to be on a slide at the end of the presentation. It will tell you how to apply for our services. Also want to remind you that all of our episodes are recorded and posted on the Level Up Law playlist on our YouTube channel. I think we need one more subscriber to hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. So, hey, somebody out there could be subscriber number 2,000. Go ahead and hit that button. So also be sure to check out our social media. We post a lot of good information there for everyone, including our Level Up Law episodes and registration information. And we'll provide all those social media handles for you guys out there in the audience on the last slide. So I think we can have Roger answer any general questions about collaboration or what SC-VAN does. So if you do have a question and we have time at the end of today's episode, go ahead and put that in the question box and we'll definitely try to get to those. All right. One other thing, first of all, there's a QR code there on your screen. We want you to scan that and sign up for our newsletter. And that's a real easy way to do that. And we'll provide that QR code again at the end of today's presentation. All right. And this is another awesome QR code for you. If you have an idea for an episode of Level Up Law, some particular legal topic that you sure do wish that we would provide some information on, scan that QR code right now. You don't have to come up with the idea at this moment, but you'll have that little form to fill out and let us know what kind of an episode you're thinking of. And we will try to accommodate that with some of our lawyers and their expertise. Here's a little bit about Roger and how to get in touch with him. And we'll provide that again as well at the end of the episode. What a lovely family you have, Roger. So thanks for being with us as our guest today. We're going to be talking about the impact of collaboration and the importance of organizations that serve similar populations working together. And Roger and I, as I said before, have some good experience with doing that. Roger, you want to talk about how we met through collaboration?
Yes, this work is now in its third year, and when we first started, we actually I don't remember how long it took to finally meet in person, but we started virtually as friends, and through the connections of Kay Hightower from the Department on Aging, South Carolina Department of Aging, and also Mara Allgood, we met up with Susie Ingalls. And in fact, what I love about it, she attended a meeting that we did, I think it was that beginning one, and then from that, she was like, we've got to do more. And she was just inspirationally driving. In fact, to me right now, she's kind of the core of our team of getting a lot of this activity that we're doing now. We moved from World Elder Abuse Awareness Day to World Elder Abuse Awareness Month. So last year it was Wednesdays of June. This year it's Thursdays. You'll hear some more as we talk. But that collaboration strategy is only as sweet as the people we work with. In fact, can you go back that one fun slide right before it? I just want to playfully note something I kind of thought of when I was looking at this word collaboration. So this is a totally non-Webster dictionary analysis, but I just want to note something kind of fun. So coal, so you need energy, like a piece of coal to get something going. With the people we had involved, definitely that worked. You need to do the research like a lab into making sure we understand partners that we have involved and partners that need to be involved. And of course, like a Labrador retriever, you need that faithfulness to be connected and follow up and keep up with each other. And by the way, everything we do seemed to be about talking. That's why I laughed when I saw how it broke out to be oration. We're out there telling us our stories. But the thing that's been fun about this too, in collaboration with this group, just this one project of WIAD, we listen well. We've learned to listen to those that are either our partners on this task force that is now, I guess, officially developed in its third year, but we've also listened to those who attend our gatherings, and we keep adapting. In fact, I can promise you we will not be the same task force next year, 2024, because what we are learning this year. In fact, this year right now, the fun about our collaboration is that we're getting to be engaged with our community even more so. And so community collaboration with these partners is a game changer. And all these faces you see, these are not just fun people, they're hard working individuals. And that's what makes this so cool, is that these are different agencies and entities that we'll share that have learned that they are not alone in this strategy of taking care of just this one category of elder abuse, but now we have partners in this and we're constantly growing. In fact, if that's something of your interest to get involved with us, please contact us afterwards, because we know we have not exhausted the people resource in this one area of collaboration.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, one of the great things, and we'll talk now a little bit about collaboration in general. And I think one of the great things that we learned through that process, certainly that I learned, and I think everyone else did as well, is that collaboration can have a culture. And the culture that was established with this group, and we can talk about that, you know, in a little bit more detail as we go along. But the culture was established at the beginning, and it's a collaborative culture where everybody is working together, as Roger just described, and we have collaborative leadership. So everybody leads at one point or another, or on one piece of a project or another. And I think that's one of the strengths of our group. It is kind of informal. You know, you're not working for someone else. There's not someone else telling you what to do. It's very open, and it's a great group. So let's talk about collaboration just in general a little bit. You know, I'm sure there are all kinds of articles and classes and everything, you know, that you can study collaboration with. But let's just talk about a few of those things. You know, why is it important? Here's just a few of the many reasons that it's important. And this goes right back, I think, with what you said, Roger. You know, problem solving, bringing people together, opening up new ways to communicate. And you know, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you have found ways to communicate not just with the WIAD group, but with other organizations in order to collaborate on some shared goals that you have there at SCBAN.
Well, the fun part about this is what we're doing right now. We started this in the middle of COVID. And remind me, Susie, how many how many hours was that presentation we did virtually on June 15th, maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was a better part of the day.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and we were all, I mean, I don't know about the audience, but I know we were all missing the in-person touch that we could give, but we did what we had to do. So the adaptation of Zoom or this resource here with this webcam element, it was a thing that we all became very aware of, that we cannot stop what we're doing. We have to figure out new ways to connect, continue to provide support. And that's what was a big blessing for us. In fact, Shannon Geary, I cannot even speak in this mode without mentioning her name. She's our overall project person for manager for the SE Van. And she and Nicole Goodwin took on their own extra training to make sure that the Zoom world was a friendly world for us. All our virtual encounters really were helpful, and also that we had to adapt and how to use that resource. So that, and in fact, Susie, she's one of our key components for our task force in any aspect of what we're doing project-wise when we have to do virtual. So,
yeah,
and that's 15 probably too, right?
Yeah, she's so good about speaking of collaboration in general, but Shannon is very good about sharing that expertise that she now has and working to, help us with other virtual presentations we might need to do that our group is doing. And I know, I think she even, shared some of her expertise with our new communications and marketing manager who needed to kind of get up to speed on that. So I think that's a great segue into talking about how collaboration has changed in the last number of years, and those digital tools, big time game changer, I think. Not only because it's easier for us to meet as a group and see each other and make those personal connections and friendships that you were talking about earlier, but also to, we're not just talking on the phone anymore. We're not having to figure out how to work everybody's schedule to meet in person. We're able to do that virtually, but the in-person is makes the in-person meetings, I think, that much sweeter. And also the digital tools are helping us with getting out those educational components of what we all do in our group, that kind of that shared goal of educating the public, potential, clients.
It's funny too, Susie, you mentioned about when we finally get together. So when we all finally met, because it took a bit before we could actually meet in person, it was like a family reunion. I mean,
It's all around.
because we had gone through, and I think collaboration includes going through life together. Because when you really are connected in a project, and one of your teammates goes down for whatever reason as a part of their non-work life, we care. I mean, we care in our work, so we're obviously going to care in this strategy. So I think that's what made it even sweeter when we saw each other, because we had gone through life together along with going through our work together. So that's a bonus that I can tell the audience that you have if you want. You don't have to have that, but it is a sweet bonus to have that collaborative, I guess, friend and one that you can make a difference in beyond even your workplace.
Yeah, and I think that makes for a real healthy collaboration. Doesn't have to be that way, but like you say, it sure is nice. The other thing that I think, and this sort of, the data sharing is always important in what we do as nonprofit organizations. And nowadays that data is a lot easier to create with the digital tools and all. It's a lot easier to share, but it's also a lot easier for all of us to find if we don't have it to share. So again, the digital is so important. And I really wanted to highlight, and I think you'll probably agree with this, that we have in the past lived in a world where organizations kind of had their own thing, and maybe if they were doing something that was similar to another organization, they felt that kind of competitiveness, and oh well, we don't, we want to do better than this other organization, or we don't want them to do this because we're doing this. And I think in today's world, especially in the nonprofit sector, that you and I are in, there is so much need that to be competitive. That's history, man. Collaboration is what it is all about, and it is we're talking about today. It has a lot of impact for our organizations as well as all the people that we serve. And I think it's important to point out that grant funding, which is what nonprofits operate on so much, really emphasizes collaboration with other organizations. I mean, every grant application, if it doesn't have a question about who are you going to collaborate with, it'll have a whole section. Who are you going to collaborate with? How are you going to collaborate with them? Why are you going to do it? What do you think? What results are you expecting from that that's going to improve this project that you're doing?
Yeah, and there's an old book, High Five, H-I-G-H and 5, F-I-V-E, that talked about none of us can work, none of us can do what we do except when we need all of us. We can't do this without all of us. None of us is as smart as all of us, and it's critical. None of us is as smart as all of us. And once we started putting our heads together on these kind of projects, we began to realize each of us have gifts in certain areas. In fact, to brag on the elder abuse one, Mara was very good at inspiring a lot of the compiling of all our work, so that we did see, so we're seen as a unified team, not 4 different events or 5 different events in a month, and really pushing us to be a unified element, and helped us with their intern to put together a compilation of the events, which we're getting ready to release hopefully in the next week or two for this June. It's a game changer, because each person does bring to the table a different strength that the others can be benefited from, instead of, like you just said, Susie, feeling competitive with.
Right. And none of us can do everything. None of us know everything anymore. And so it's really important to gather all of our expertise, knowledge, and so forth around that shared goal that we have. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the science. I feel like we kind of have talked about that already, which is, there's not one person with all the knowledge anymore. There might be the go-to person for this or that, but it's important to have all that specialty knowledge in a collaborative group because there is so much specialization now. And a lot of what we used to have to go to a person for, now we can go to the internet for. So there's a lot to be learned in that way. So, but we need those specialists in the different areas to sort of come together. That doesn't mean that if we're collaborating with other organizations that we're losing our own identity in some way as an organization. We still have our own mission and our, vision of what service we're providing as different organizations and entities. But we have that shared goal that we're all getting together on. And also just, when you're not sort of siloed, like I mentioned before, I think that we're more open, we're more, inclined to share our knowledge and any thing that we're doing around that goal or that issue that we're working with. And I think when you open up to others like that, you can really expand your thinking, and that brings new ideas and innovation. All right, now we said it was a science, but it's also an art, and that's where this comes in that you've been talking about with sort of that culture that was established with the elder abuse group that we're a part of. I think, it's an informal group. You want to talk about how kind of it's informal and not formal?
Well, I mean, sincerely, there's a lot of times where there's not an official task force meeting, but we each know that there's things that we've got on our plate that we've got coming up, and we want to touch base with each other. We want to feel out, does this sound like something that might work? If it does work, what do you think about this? So we are very good at touching base with each other just to make sure. Also, we know too, in fact, we laugh about this, but June is not the only time we think about elder abuse. It's year round. So what's been fun too is that year round, we're trying to think out new aspects of what we each kind of work with. My area being very specifically the victim advocate outside of it, and also involved in the faith community. We've got, with the help of Susie, we got 2 big events that came out this last year, working with the I guess, a scam perspective. Do you want to tell them about that? How the extra elements that go beyond just the normal planning of a task force?
Yeah, I think that was one of the great things that came out of the month of June last year, where we focused on not just June 15th, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, but having additional events, throughout that month. And as we talked, and then after that month was over, I think we all agreed, this is great. We got to do this all year round to some degree. Obviously, we're limited in what we can do, but we realized all the expertise that was in the room, so to speak. And so we started thinking of ways to do that. And 2 of the things that I was involved in, or that we were involved in here at South Carolina Legal Services, was to do 2 things. One was in December, we had pretty much a whole day of guest speakers virtually that you could register for and see all the speakers. And it was about really holiday related scams, because it was, going into Christmas, and that's when the scammers come out in full force, not just with gift card scams, but with charity scams, because it's the end of the year. People are thinking, oh, I need to make my donations if I'm going to make a donation. So we had people from Better Business Bureau, the Office of Regulatory Staff on utility scams. We had the Secretary of State office on the charity scams, and on and on. And those are available on our YouTube channel if you want to see them, for our audience, just so you'll know. But then that was really successful. And the other thing that we did was to address romance scams in February on Valentine's Day. So we did another virtual presentation, also uploaded to our YouTube channel. And that was an awesome presentation with 2 FBI agents that have become part of our WEAD task force. As we bring in new people or we get new speakers, we get them involved in everything else that we're doing when it comes to elder abuse. So that's been really a great thing. And I think we'll do more and more. The bigger we get, everybody wants to be involved that's in the group. And with a big group, with all of that expertise in the room, but that culture that was established of, kind of trust and friendship, and no like strict hierarchy and structure, I think it's going to continue to grow, and everybody that comes in seems to want to be involved.
I was going to compliment this too, because what's awesome now is we have recordings of these virtual events. So, in fact, even back to that first WEAD that we did a couple years ago, you can go through that, break it down, and listen to different parts, and get jewels from that. What she just shared, the 2 topics, you totally need to go back if you didn't get to hear it when it was produced, and listen to it. So we've realized now that's a new level of our resources we have to offer communities, is not only the live versions, but all these recorded. And if you're a person that has to get either legal hours or victim advocate hours or social worker hours, if you go and be a part of these in person, then we also have that as another added benefit, where you can get those hours that you need in your ongoing learning. So again, lots of win-wins in this scenario of collaboration that we see. And again, a collaboration that then happens in that audience, whether virtually or in person.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that we are mindful of the needs of our partners and the people that are serving folks in that same group that we're working with. So it's a great point. Here was just, I thought, a really nice list of the soft skills that you need to look for in people that you're collaborating with. Not that you're recruiting and interviewing people or anything like that, although you can. But I think these are some of the important skills, and not everybody has all of them. But you hope that in a group like ours or any other collaboration that you might have. I know SCBAN has many collaborations, as do we. But you want to make sure you're covering all of this and that there's some mix of these kind of soft skills in your group. Okay. Finally, just I think we've probably already made this clear, but just what are the benefits of collaboration? And I know we at Legal Services have found these benefits with our WIAD group and with other what my son calls collabs, getting new resources, and for example, Shannon at SCBAN and her talent for that technology side of things. That's been a great thing for us to have some access to someone who can run a big Zoom meeting with breakout sessions and all that kind of stuff. She's a real talent. And then just the innovation that comes with that, as we've already talked about, having all those different people and those different specialized knowledge, different ideas. Innovation comes out of that because we're all, open and, not afraid to throw out ideas, not afraid to, say, well, I don't really like that idea, but it's a good collaboration. Your risk sharing, increasing your market reach. I think that's been really important for all of us because, everybody has a network. And of course, at SCBAN, that's y'all's specialty. And sharing those resources that we all have, but sharing them throughout our own networks and not holding that close to the vest, sharing it all out for all of our organizations, I think is really great. Clearly, as we were just talking about, those opportunities for learning. And then just, the time efficiency. We talked about this. Of course, we're talking mostly about external collaboration. But Kenneth, our producer, and I were just talking about our collaboration with doing Level Up Law. When we first started that almost 3 years ago, it was a little bit of a time stealer. It took a lot to get it going and get everybody to, do their part in it. But once we got it going, it started to become more and more of a well-oiled machine, and it became, known as a resource for, all kinds of people and groups. And so we recently had a production meeting with kind of all the key players in our organization to kind of kick off this year. And as a result, it really is a well-oiled machine. It doesn't take any of us nearly as much time as it used to. And so that's been a great just sort of internal collaboration, whether it be our administration, our IT department, with Kenneth, all of our offices, our office managers, our unit heads who are really kind of lead those specialty areas that we have. It takes them being involved and, providing content when it comes to those legal topics. So, collaboration can benefit your organization both from an external standpoint in delivering services, but also as an internal way to work as a team. All right, I want to talk more about SCBAN and collaboration. So Roger, take it away.
All right. Well, this is and it's a changing team. I'm sure we've got one or two that have added, one or two that have not with us. But the big picture there, Laura Hudson is our executive director. Shannon's kind of popped in the middle there, right in front of me with a red sweater behind there. But Laura is our executive director. We're now, I can't remember our exact years, but we're over 30 plus years, 35 plus years as an organization. We're a nonprofit 501c3. I had to learn that phrase, 501c3. And it's incredible because in this, and I love the phrase that kind of sticks out, we're the go-to. South Carolina has given us the opportunity to respond to a mandate that they needed a Bill of Rights for a network of service providers to be formed to better protect and serve victims of crime. And so now, in fact, I need to add that 5 in there. Over 35 years, we've been the go-to agency, a voice for crime victims. And then our partnerships in the network word of our name is all with these victim advocates. That can be police department, sheriff's office, victim services. That can be individual victim services, the overall South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, that whole network of advocates. And then, of course, working with our law enforcement closely. And even just recently, I'll share a little bit more about it, but we even had a partnership strategy, a collaboration with the coroner's office on a recent presentation. And go back one picture, or back to the picture part of that one slide back. I just wanted to introduce 2 people in particular. Arelis Alcantara, this is our 6th year to have the faith-based victim service strategy. She was there with me in the beginning, and just this last year, and Arelis covers the upstate area of our faith-based work. Jessica Goodwin, who's formerly with a victim advocate over in the little town of Andrews. I think Jessica said they have 3 stoplights now. But she was a go-getter in her work there in victim advocacy with that police department, and now is our coastal representative for the faith-based victim service work. And our team includes legal assistance for victims. In fact, I know Susie, y'all have partnered with our LAV team with Sarah Ford. We have our crime victim information program that's covered by a couple folks in our area. Goodness, there's like even pieces underneath that piece that Shannon, Nicole, and Brian all work with. Melissa is our CFO, Melissa Walker, and she takes care of all of us because with our grant strategies, we're keeping her very busy. Then we have a forensic nurse examiner strategy, Amanda, and Sabrina is our executive director, or excuse me, our director for that, program director. And then the faith-based program that we've been working with. And each of these have kind of come into existence through different stages of the SCVAN. This goes back, when you hear that number, that's the days of Ronald Reagan when there was a design for SCVAN, a realization of compensation before that each state was given, and then SCVAN kind of birthed out of that compensation for victims in South Carolina. We're unique. There's only a few states, I believe, from what I've learned, that have such a strategy. So again, we're excited. We're also one of the few states that has rights, Bill of Rights for victims, which again, we are constantly, what we call standing in the gap for our victims. And so here are the 3 perspectives: ensuring all crime victims receive access to and assistance from the criminal justice system. That's a lot of collaboration strategies. That's everybody in there for these victims, making sure it's happening. Improving the quality of services provided to the crime victims by our victim advocates. We're constantly providing trainings to give them the best knowledge how to best care. The partnerships with them ever growing. In fact, we have all kinds of training strategies through the year, including what you just heard her talk about, the Victims' Rights Week. That's a big period of time where they get core trainings to give them extra help. And then, of course, in-person partnerships that give them even better help. One last one. To ensure the, what was that last objective? My brain just went blank. To ensure the criminal justice system adequately serves crime victims. I mean, everyone needs a watchdog for every aspect of what we do. And so again, the crime justice system, they appreciate our engagement to make sure victims are served. Next slide. So again, I won't read every one of these, but these are the aspects of how we fulfill it. It's critical that we have checkpoints to make sure, and I love the last line, manages one-of-a-kind programs that encourages citizens and victim participation in the justice process. We can't do this without eyes and ears of our community. So that's why, again, we're not just peer-to-peer our strategies. We really do want to get our communities engaged because they help us make sure we're taking good care of those that we're getting the support. So constantly public awareness, constantly engaging them. And like I said, this is our strategy. Identifying, inspiring, educating, applauding. That's really, I've come to realize, thank yous are big in this work of collaboration. But working with all faith-based organizations, with local crime victim assistance programs, providing that resource support, which I think you heard me give a little punch to the fact that it's not just papers and links of a website, but it's people resources that really do make the difference in the support. And then, of course, hopefully complement the services that our crime victims areas are providing for the victims and their surviving families. This is a never-ending job. In fact, I can't wait to will it off to the next because we know that this need is going to always be there. There's going to be constant changes in what we have to do, our resources, and our ways to communicate. So I know, like I said earlier, this team, even as this one area of the elder abuse you heard about, that task force will continually adapt and adjust to best serve our folks. But we
Yeah.
always were taught victims first. Everything we're doing, we're here for the victims. It helps us keep off the wow side of us, where we get the complaint about if we don't have enough money, we don't have enough resources. In fact, we're at a point where if we need to take care of a victim, we'll do everything we can. Our director for the law program loves this phrase, because if we can't help you, we'll find someone who can. So our resource desire is critical to make sure the victims are cared for.
Yeah, and I love that you're building your faith-based program team with Jessica and Aurelis. That's so crucial.
It's helping me cover more, but boy, I'll tell you right now, send more grant money. We could use about double that even, just keep up with everybody.
Right.
All right, so these next couple slides are just, I guess, examples of why this strategy has been important. Collaboration from the very beginning. I was thinking about this, Susie, even as we were talking today. I could get like write-ups for Susie and everybody I've worked with, and then when I have a talk, either in person or virtually, I could give you a report on what Susie's doing, what Mara's doing, what Kay is doing in Hightower, and I could give you these cool reports. I could even give up wonderful PowerPoints that would be slide numbers that would show their incredible reach. But I realized I'd get people be bored, because I can only tell so well a story of Susie and what she's doing. So the partnership and collaboration, one of my biggest reasons I do it is because they tell their best story better than I'll ever be able to. And so having these folks, whether in person or in virtual, and you're going to see a couple slides that'll show these, like this one right now, the roundtable. We realized we need a round table of folks. That was like a mixture of faith leaders and victim advocate leaders, community leaders. A lot of times we get the mayor to come in, key police chiefs. All these people need to be in that room because they each bring a different perspective. They each have a different concern even when they first walk in. In fact, we usually would ask, what is that thing that you're here for? What do you hope to walk away with when you finish this meeting? I know they're not looking forward to getting a flyer from me or a brochure that will get stuck underneath the car or the dog will eat it. They want something that's going to give them tangible help in their crisis. So these gatherings have changed that. Instead of just us reporting about other people, we get the people to tell about their story. And so in each one of these, the faith in anti-human trafficking, we've been talking a lot about the elder abuse strategy. There's seasons of priorities for domestic violence in October, sexual assault in April, trafficking in January, of course, the elder abuse in June, roundtables around the year, around the state. Each one of these has priorities, but they are always going on. So again, I've realized, man, like you saw, I only have 3 of us that just cover the faith strategy. I need an army beyond us, and this army is coming out of these partnerships.
Yeah, and it's so important that you're addressing so many things, but you're doing it in a way that is, working for all of the rest of us, and it's really important work. And I'm just thankful that we have you and SC Van out there doing the work. And I think the collaboration factor, and you kind of mentioned this, that it's important to get all the different people involved, but with that shared goal. And I think you mentioned the word strategy or strategies, and I think that's something that we always need to keep in mind when we're talking about collaboration, because as I said, a lot of funding, resources, they want to know about that collaboration, but you can't just let that be a checkbox. Oh yeah, we're collaborating on this. You really do need, like what you're doing here, you need a strategy and a timeline or whatever it might be. And I think that's a real key element to any kind of collaborative group, is to really have a strategy. It doesn't have to be real specific necessarily, although that's good, but a shared goal, but a shared idea about the strategy of how everybody in the group is going to work toward accomplishing the goal. And
you know what's so
more than checking a box.
And I just thought about this, and it's kind of funny, but so when I wanted to work out on my own, you can only imagine how well that went when I just did it on my own. But when I got this guy to say, we're going to work out together once a week, and he'd come into my office at the end of the day and have his workout bag and set it down and go, Rod, you ready? And I normally, if I'd been on my own, I would have gone, oh, I'm so tired, I can't do this. But because he came in and said, let's go, and are you ready? I had accountability. So along with strategy in collaboration, accountability helps get these tasks done and done well. We're really each other's wall to bounce things off right, but we're also the accountable. Did we get it done? And did we get it done well? And is there anything we can do? In fact, we're going to probably have I haven't even talked to Susie yet about this, but we'll probably do a follow-up next week or two to get ready for both June, but also to talk about what we've been doing. How are we hitting the marks on what we're wanting to accomplish? So those accountable type conversations also have been a big value. And there's a couple slides, so I'm going to just push through some of these because I don't want to take too much time. I want to be able to give more conversation of the general, but this is the example of how we went from the real in-person. This was down in Simpsonville, or excuse me, up in Simpsonville at the Simpsonville Police Department right across the street. They had an activity center we used for an in-person gathering for a roundtable. And then as you see, as we got into COVID, we learned to go virtually. The faces keep changing because of the opportunity of talking to folks. You can go to the next slide. But those that need to be together is critical. Now this is fun because I love that fact. Which one of these doesn't seem to belong with the other? You've got advocate. You got a pastor and another advocate, but you have a quilt maker. And so why in the world is there a quilt maker amongst all these advocates? Because it says faith and victim service panelists. The quilt maker had realized the need for providing comfort to crime victims in their crisis time. So she worked with Melina at Simpsonville PD and would make a quilt for these victims in their time of need to be given to them as a comfort. And so now she would work, what do they call it? A quilting, there's a word, the quilting group, but there's a better tech word for that.
Quilting bee?
Yeah, so that group actually would make these quilts for these victims in their time of need. I was blown away. I said, you're on my panel. I want people to understand that in a collaborative resource, she doesn't maybe fit the bill of what we're saying, but she fits the bill in caring for people like we all care. And so unofficially, she to me fits the category up here of an advocate, of a victim service person. And so that's what's fun about collaboration. I stumbled into her because of Melina, and the collaboration kept building because each one of us, even the pastor was connected to another advocate, Nicole. So Pastor Susan and Nicole Mappett partnered in their work, which then allowed us to show the model. So Susie, one of the things that I hope we're doing today is we're modeling collaboration, what it can look like. So then people can say, okay, that worked for them. I can customize this model to now fit my needs. And so please, I pray this, whether you're hearing this live or you're watching this as a recording, follow up with us, because we also know what we may be offering may need to have some tweaking to get it to fit what you're looking for. But these relationships that then open up new collaborations really made the difference for even just that one talk one day.
Yeah, we're talking earlier about innovation and novel ideas. Wow, what a novel idea to have those quilts. I love that.
It's cool. Next one, again, we don't have to talk long, but this was again in the trafficking area that we work on. Various partnerships, either with a faith community, a conference that was developed by that faith community leader who then put a whole conference for the rest of us all to meet up later. I love even then when you have the formal part in the State House, and then you have the informal crew up at the corner there with the dog in there, and the family just kind of gathered out for another event that wasn't even related to trafficking, but it was a chance for SLED workers, AG workers, and SC van worker to come together and just be refreshed. And so again, the multitude of houses of worship, partnerships, and conferences, and then even just in a relaxed state connecting, makes us work smarter and harder, better and more thorough, and refresh ourselves. Oh, and anyone who collaborates, and Susie, I bet you'll echo this, make sure you're taking care of you. I'll keep echoing self-care strategies in the middle of collaboration. The reason why you get to have self-care is because you get to share the load. If I was trying to do all these different topics on my own, I'd be worn out. But getting to collaborate also allows me to have some good self-care and share that what we're learning together. The next one here is with Interfaith Partners South Carolina. They didn't know about the crisis scenario that was going on with trafficking. they helped us get a project together, working with one of the members who had attended a conference. The college then provided for the Richland County Sheriff's Office pre-made clothing bags for people in crisis. And it all came out of a meeting, a collaboration, and then a secondary engagement with a training that opened the door of a need that they didn't even know was existing. So college students got to make a difference in a trafficking person's life that never went to a meeting or was on a task force, but because of the relationships that built out of collaboration, these people now are going to be cared for in their crisis and their worst day. Is that not cool?
That's awesome. Let's talk about
I think, what's that?
let's talk about this next one.
Oh, yeah, and I gotta tighten this up because I see your time's running out. But Compassion for Faithful Service Award came out of one pastor who saw a need on a night when there was a horrible accident that involved 4 children losing their lives, a father who had been under some influence, and all 4 children, as you see the ages, all under age of 10, died on this one night in December. The power was that the pastor of the church, who literally his church was across the street from where the accident occurred, was also a fire department chaplain, and he was there on scene late that night. Initially provided support for the family as they came to the scene, but then gave them an amazing gift. They said, look, you, if you want to, may use our church for your funeral response, your gathering that you're going to have for family and friends. You have no priorities of what we expect from you. You can have any music, whatever you want to do. We're just here to serve. And the victim advocates were so touched by this, they said, we've got to do something to acknowledge this, because that's not normal management of even our ministers. A lot of times ministers try to be a part of something like that crisis and then turn it into a recruitment for church membership. This guy just wanted to serve and care. So out of that, we came up with a Compassion for Faithful Service Award. We had our 5th year of acknowledging these awards. And so go ahead and show that next slide. In this 5th year, these sets of folks, let's see, I'll start with the 2 in the middle, or the 2 young ladies in the middle. That is a group from the Dorchester Child Advocacy Center. They, for the first time, took on a project to train pastors on the sexual assault impact and sexual issues that are impacting even their community. And we wanted to acknowledge they had over 100 faith leaders come to their first outreach to the faith community. And they have a strategy to even build in other elements of faith in their care for victims. So we gave them one of the awards. Down to the right corner where all the officers are, along with family from our Muslim community, Chaudhry Sadiq works with PICNA, which provides community awareness, and he partnered with Lexington County Police Department, Richland County Sheriff's Office, and I believe it's Columbia Police Department, to do a community understanding of the Muslim community, and shared with each of these police officers that priority, along with I can't remember how to say his name, Deputy Mohanad Gabra. And Mohanad and Chaudhry both made such an amazing impact in my life. I got to see the presentation and humbly presenting the Muslim priority and how to care for them in the middle of that crisis. It just touched my heart. And so we definitely wanted to honor them. They have hopes now to do this presentation with SLED. I think he's got a presentation with FBI that he's done. It's really incredible. I hope more of our faiths get to make these kind of partnerships before the crisis. Our last group off to the other side there, mixture of faith leaders and victim, actually law enforcement. This is from an event, and if you haven't heard about it, it's called Faith in Blue. Faith in Blue is started out in Georgia. It's a nationwide event, happens around that second weekend in October, and that gives folks to partner with their local police department or sheriff's office and do any kind of activity. They did a chili cook-off for this one in Columbia area. They're going to do another one over, I think, near Shandon this next coming year. They do car shows, they do all kinds of fun. They do blood drives, whatever they want to do. They do it in partnership with that police department, sheriff's office. The kids, families, whatever, they get to engage these officers without crisis, and that's the heart. They really want to change the mindset of our community to our officers, and our officers to our community. And so this will be happening again each year. We had about 30, I guess, areas in our state that took part in it this year. I'm praying that number keeps building, getting to accelerate it too. I hope that awareness built. But again, collaboration. Is this not another beautiful picture of what happens when you put people like this? You can change the whole identity of a community by having a friendship instead of a crisis perspective towards a sheriff's office or police department.
All right, let's talk about our WEAD group and
Yes.
Right. This is
Tell
so much.
tell your thought about where we're going right now, Susie. Tell your perspective, because it's so much fun to see where we've come in 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's growing. We seem to be kind of maintaining that same culture that we all, were so fond of in those early days. When I came and when I became involved, it was, it was really a no-brainer. And as I've got to know everybody, learned about all the organizations and what they do and how they're set up and the collaborations that they have, not just with this, um, it's really exciting to be a part of. And as you know, Roger, I'm very passionate not just about elder abuse, but as a consumer lawyer, I'm passionate about elder financial abuse and exploitation as well. And so that's been kind of fun to bring that piece to the idea of elder abuse. And of course, everybody else is aware of that and interested, and has really been very welcoming about letting South Carolina Legal Services be not only be part of this group, but sort of bring that that piece of expertise to the entire group. And as a result, we've gotten a lot back from that really helps us and is instructive for us on how we represent people and how we help clients.
And apparently I like my blue shirt because I wore it in that picture too.
It looks good. Good one.
Well, we've got coming up, Susie's going to kick it off June 1st, that first Thursday. This is some of our crew here, but tell them about what you're going to do that the first Thursday of the WEAD.
Yeah, and this came from one of our meetings where Kay Hightower, who's with the South Carolina Department on Aging, and she's a real go-getter and a real force in this task force. She put the force in task force, I can tell you that. She's the person that I learned the word voluntold from, not volunteer. Voluntold. I just voluntold you to do that. But the data walk was kind of a vision of hers, because she had gone to a data walk that DHEC did and found it to be really helpful. And so we're kind of having our own version of a data walk in June, on June 1st, up here in Greenville, in which various organizations are going to provide their data about the elder community, whether it be data they've gathered or data about what their services have provided. And it'll be a different kind of a data walk, because it'll be the seniors and other service providers who are doing the walking around all of the data presentations, and they can just choose whichever thing they want to go and look at and learn about. And we'll have some other discussion groups around that as well. And the really neat thing is that the seniors who attend will be getting some exercise, as will all of us. And so it has that added plus to it. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be the first one. Hopefully it'll go well and we can do it again in future years, but we're starting small to make sure we get it right.
Awesome. And then Mara and, actually it's going to be now Teresa. Teresa will be working with us to do a resource event on June 8th. That will be virtual. So anyone who wants to take part in that, can't make any travels, no worries. You will get a boatload of amazing resources by people sharing what they have to offer and how they can help out, again, in this area of elder abuse awareness and prevention. And then the 15th, if y'all come at the DSS building and near the downtown Columbia area, we're going to do a walk that morning, I believe. I can't remember the exact start time, but we'll have it listed.
Sunny.
Yes.
It's hot down there.
Oh, it was warm last year, but we're gonna have that on the 15th, and that's gonna be a big walk, just kind of right near the stadium there, downtown area, and about a mile walk. Yes, and we hope you all can be a part of that. That's for us too. A lot of us try to come in for that event wherever we are located, upstate or Low Country or Midlands. So that's also kind of a reunion for us too. Then on the 20th and the 22nd, I think I'm remembering the dates right, we'll be in Orangeburg and Spartanburg, respectively. That one is going to be a bingo focused on the scam update awareness. And
Yeah.
and Beatrice Fields from the Attorney General's office, and ISIS. I can't remember. ISIS is where? Do you remember, Susie? I just went blank
It's
on.
in Consumer Affairs, and so they
Yes,
have
consumer.
this fraud bingo that exercise that they do. And so, yeah, bingo in the burgs, Orangeburg and Spartanburg. And
Can't
that's
wait.
going to be really neat because it's interactive, you know, for the seniors, and yeah, they can learn at the same time. So I think that's really great. And how about that final?
We're excited. North Charleston City Hall gave us the privilege of using their council room from 9 to 3 on the 29th, the last Thursday in June. We'll have, it will be in person. It will not be run streaming of it, but we will make recordings of each of the sessions presented. So we'll have that afterwards. But if you want to get the VSP or the legal points or credits, excuse me, or social work credits, you need to be present, and it's worth it. It's a free event. In fact, we're actually, you can pray for us and help us if you want, but we're going to try to get box lunches also covered. So it'll be one nice big event. The conference will include speakers regarding legal, regarding forensic nurse examiner, elder abuse, faith elements. We're going to have victim advocates speaking on it, getting perspectives on that. It's going to have law enforcement and victim advocates engaged too, and social workers. It's going to be really kind of a closeout too for the event. So we're going to try to have a booth area for folks to come in and just gather up additional resources that they hadn't had a chance to before. And it's our closing that gets, even for us, it's kind of that sentimental journey of the month being done. We get to kind of celebrate how well we felt we did. And then also immediately, I have a funny feeling, Susie, we'll all talk about it when we can, and maybe a little bit later in July, definitely in August, and say, what can we do even better next year?
Get going again. That's right. Well, let's close out our episode. I want you to talk about.
You can move through that. Yeah, you can pass on that because I see it's 1 o'clock right now.
Well, that's okay. It's a great service, and I want everybody to pay attention.
Yeah, we're getting a partnership. Yeah, the partnership of first responder chaplains with law enforcement, victim advocates, and coroner's office. It's not new, but it's the thought of how do we make sure the protocol of those chaplains engaged with each is at its best. And it's just like everything else we've been saying today. If you're not talking about it, if you're not engaging it, it's just going to stay as it is. We know that there's always room for improvement. Each of the areas that we've talked to, including Skapiska. So we're at SC Van trying to help out that aspect. Plus, I'm also throwing in ones that aren't normally in the same conversation: hospital chaplains, prison chaplains. There's just a lot of aspects of our work that are overlapping. And even now we have child advocacy centers. Now we've got, in fact, in our country, we're the only state that has even one, if not now 3 chaplains that are working directly with victims in an agency like the CAC. The rest of the country has maybe 1, or most have none. So we're really getting to do a game changer on the faith strategy come alongside in the crisis. That's touched my heart, and I just pray we keep developing that further and adding that complement if the service is desired. Again, never forcing faith on anyone, but if the service is desired, having that faith strategy available for those victims and their families.
Real important. Love it. Thanks again, Roger. We're going to sign off here in a minute, but I just wanted to give everybody one more glance at your information and your lovely family. I really do appreciate you being with us. That was I think a great discussion about collaboration and its impact. And just another quotable quote that I saw recently that said, collaboration comes in moments, not meetings. And I think all the things that you've talked about and our collaboration surrounding the WEAD task force is definitely a testament to the truth of that quote. But thank you also, in addition to Roger, I want to thank our audience for being here with us today, whether it's live or on the replay. We really do appreciate you being with us. And if you found this helpful and you think the information can be helpful to another person or organization, go to our YouTube page and share it out. I think it's important to get this kind of information out about the organizations in South Carolina that are working together and how they're doing it. While you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We may have already hit 2,000 subscribers. I sure am hoping. And sign up for the notification so you'll know every time that we post a Level Up Law episode, which we do every single week. And glad to bring those to you. And also, be sure to tune in next week for another live episode of Level Up Law right here at South Carolina Legal Services. Thanks again for tuning in today. Thanks to our guest, Roger Acton of South Carolina Victim Assistance Network. Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you joining us, and that concludes today's webinar.
And thanks, Kenneth. Thanks, Susie. This has been great.
Thank you, Roger.